After being in the fitness industry for 11 plus years and been a coach for 4 plus years, these are the things that are my hottest takes that no one is going to believe because it hurts their biases. And honestly, it's going to be against my normal content because it's kind of attacking the people. I shouldn't say attacking, but I'm usually very empathetic when I give advice. This is just going to be raw, authentic, straight to the point. And if I didn't care about hurting your feelings, this is the the 3 myths, I would say, that have been ruining the fitness industry and my hottest takes. Number 1, no such thing as starvation mode. The principle of starvation mode is people think if you undereat, you will stop losing fat and your body will go into starvation mode. It will go in this mode where it reserves the fat, basically hibernation for bears. So what number is that? I want to make sure when people are making this statement, what number is starvation mode? What number of a deficit? Because most people say anything over a 500 calorie deficit, you start to go into starvation mode. So, number 1, the man that fasted for over a year straight and lost weight the entire time. Why didn't he go into starvation mode? Oh, because he's really big, so his body didn't need to go into starvation mode? Okay. So there's a hole right there. Number 2, starvation wouldn't exist. World hunger wouldn't exist because their body goes in starvation mode. There wouldn't be malnourishment. There wouldn't be anything like that. There's kind of a hole in your logic considering there's world hunger. Anytime someone didn't have food, anytime anyone didn't have food, they lost an extreme amount of weight. The 1930s. That's a really bad joke or analogy, but it proves a point. There's no such thing as starvation mode, and this is what gets people really confused. And I'll actually demonstrate it with my whiteboard. This is not prepared at all. And if you guys are on my Spotify or just audio listening, I am pulling a whiteboard out, but you don't need to watch. It is all good. So, why people think starvation mode happens is because when they eat in this extreme deficit, they lose a buttload of weight. So let's say person A is this big. They got a big old gut. They weigh 250 pounds. Since they weigh 250 pounds, let's say they lose 50 pounds. That's a lot of weight. Let's say they were eating 1,200 calories. That's a really extreme diet. I call it the essential diet, but we'll go into that later. Let's lose 50 pounds. Holy cow. Now they're getting really hungry because when you lose fat, there's a hormone called leptin that is stored in your fat cells. And that is the hormone that makes you feel full. So no matter what, when you are losing weight, does not matter the pace you are, you will lose leptin and feel more hungry. It is a part of the system. It is a part of fat loss. It needs to be an expectation. You're not doing something wrong. I always say on a scale of 1 to 10 on hunger, you should always be sitting around a 3 to a 7. The average person is usually a 3 to a 5. Let's just be honest. No one's ever at a 1. They don't feel uncomfortably full where they're just absolutely stuffed. The average person is 3 to 5. You should never get past 7 in your hunger on your fat loss journey because that means you're in an extreme deficit. You're not going to sustain this. But there's a nuance to it that we'll get into later. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So you lose 50 pounds, right? And now you're like, okay, I want to eat around 2,500 calories, 2,600 calories. So you increase your calories. You stop losing weight because you weren't tracking your calories before. You were just doing an extreme cut. Now you're eating around 2,600 calories. You stop losing weight. I broke my metabolic rate because I would lose weight before at 2,600 calories. No, because now you're 200 pounds. You're not carrying 50 pounds of fat on your body. Your BMR, the thing that burns over 60% of your calories in a singular day, that's literally over half your day, is just existing. You could be in a coma and you will burn these calories. So you are 50 pounds lighter. There's a really cool study a bodybuilder did. He wore a weight vest, and every pound he lost, he added a pound to the weight vest the whole prep. A prep for a bodybuilder means you're just doing like a 16-week diet thing to a show. So he didn't change his caloric intake at all, and he lost a continuous amount of weight the whole time, showing it's mostly that you're just losing weight. You're succeeding your fat loss journey. So if you do an extreme cut, you're losing fat really fast. You're burning less calories throughout the day because you're just losing so much fat. You're succeeding so rapidly. So people think you're in starvation mode. And then they get really hungry and they slowly increase their appetite. And now they're eating at maintenance. And now they're like, I crashed my metabolic rate because I used to eat this many calories and now I can't do that. Your deficit turned into your maintenance. Well, that's unfortunate, but that's the truth. If you're 200 pounds and now you weigh, if you're 250 and now you weigh 200 pounds, you simply eat the maintenance of someone that is 200 pounds. You need to stop thinking of the past. You're in a new body, new everything. My girlfriend's 110 pounds. Do you think she eats as much as me at 210 pounds? No. We are bigger, or I'm bigger than her. It doesn't make sense. People don't think rationally. They want to blame their metabolic rate, and that's just not the case. Yes, there's small things like your body becomes more efficient when you start exercising more. Just think about it, if you run a mile for a year straight, at the end, you're not going to be nearly as winded. Your cardiovascular system, your VO2 max, all these things got more efficient. So you're not exerting as much, so you burn less calories. But that is very negligible compared to you just losing weight. So you're not crashing the metabolic rate. Starvation mode's not existing. You're not ruining your hormones. You are simply succeeding in your fat loss phase. Your deficit turned into your maintenance. It doesn't matter if you ate 1,200 calories or you were just in a 200 calorie deficit. I always do this. I call this the essential diet. One, I did it to disprove the starvation mode myth. But secondly, I learned I love this. It's an aggressive cut, essential diet, whatever you want to call it. I coined it the essential diet because you eat your essential fats, your essential micronutrients, and you eat your protein and your fiber. You basically pull all the carbs, you eat as little as possible, you eat the essential amount of food to lose fat rapidly. I've gone from 210 to 190 in a month. I've lost 20 pounds just from the essential diet because I'm in almost a 2,000 calorie deficit. My maintenance is 3,600 calories because I move around a lot. I don't know what my genuine maintenance is, but I walk around 4 to 6 miles a day. So I eat 3,600 calories and I stay my weight. I ate 1,200 calories for a month, lost all that weight. I didn't ruin my metabolic rate. I ate right back to my normal deficit. I ate to 3,000 calories after that because I lost a buttload of weight. I didn't rapidly gain the weight. I simply just lost fat at a rapid pace because I wanted to. It was really hard. Eating 1,200 calories, a 2,000 calorie deficit, that was really hard for me, but I was able to do it. I would rather sprint rather than doing a marathon for my fat. And that works for a lot of my clients. I've had a client, Matthew, in 90 days, he lost over 20 pounds. My girlfriend, in 14 days, she lost 11 pounds. It's crazy what you can do. And then you eat right back at your maintenance or a slight deficit, whatever you like to do. Or if you want to do a continuous deficit the whole time, your weight will determine your metabolic rate primarily. It doesn't matter how fast you lost the weight, truly. And I know this is the harsh truth, and not a lot of people want to hear this, but it is the truth. Secondly, fad diets, just because you eliminate a food group, does not mean this is sustainable fat loss. You could do something like the OMAD diet. You eat one time a day, you think your insulin spiking is the reason you're fat, you do intermittent fasting. You can transition from OMAD to slowly doing intermittent fasting, time-restricted eating, which actually helps you adhere to a caloric deficit. Or you do a keto-esque diet, you slowly add more protein, so it's an Atkins-based diet, and then you slowly introduce more fruits and carbs, and now you're eating a complete diet with fiber, things like that. But you lost the weight initially because of keto diet, not ketogenesis or anything like that. It's just you eliminate a food group, you ate less food, you lose the weight. And that's why people keep gaining and losing the same 10 pounds every year because they think, oh, carbs make me fat, oh, insulin's making me fat, all these things. No. You eliminate a food group so it makes you stay in a caloric deficit, and then now you plateau because you don't know how you got there. You can't eliminate a new food group because now you're going to be malnourished, and then you don't adhere to the weight loss. Yeah, that's just the truth. And you don't enjoy your diet. Think 10 years down the road. Don't think the next 90 days. And I know I just said a bunch of stuff, and I challenged a bunch of beliefs. And I've done this with hundreds of clients. Not the essential diet. I've only done the essential diet probably with, honestly, only around 30 clients probably have only done the essential diets in the 4 years I've coached. So not a lot of people are able to do it. I'm very cautious when people want to do it, and I make sure they've dieted before. So usually the more experienced people that are able to do it, to be fully frank. I don't really like to give it to a lot of people because it could cause an eating disorder, fully frank. I don't want to make it seem like all sunshine and rainbows. It could give you a binge eating habit. It could make you have a very controlling diet. You're afraid of eating more food because you're obsessed with losing fat really fast. But some people are able to do it and then go right back to normal, like me, my girlfriend, some of my clients. And then some people can't. So I'm very cautious. I don't even allow it the first 30 days. Secondly, your insulin is not making you fat. It's not. People think when your insulin spiked, your fatty oxidation completely stops. They think you can't burn any calories. Your heart would not work if fatty oxidation didn't happen. Your heart would literally stop. So right there, disproven. Your insulin goes down probably within an hour after eating, or your blood sugar, because your insulin. So when your insulin spikes, it has such a negligible amount that it doesn't adhere, or it doesn't stop your body from losing fat. It just simply doesn't. And a big disproving thing of this, because a lot of people say, hey, calories don't work. It's not calories, it's your insulin. I've seen a lot of creators like Primal Bod say that, and a bunch of carnivores say that. Okay, what if I eat 10,000 calories of butter? My insulin's not spiking. Why am I gaining fat if I do that? Truly, if it's just your insulin, if your insulin is spiking, that's the only reason you're fat, why can I eat 10,000 calories of butter and gain weight? Why does every single study have to isolate the amount of calories you eat to make any consistent results? Why is that the case? Why was there a study showing 4 different diets? High carb, high protein, low carb, high fat. All those diets ate 60% of their normal caloric intake, meaning a 40% caloric deficit. And they all lost weight. Why is that? And the only difference in the weight groups was the high protein diet lost more pure fat and it kept more muscle. It's the only difference. So your low carb diet, a low insulin diet, a low blood sugar diet, didn't even perform well. It just lost weight just like the other groups, but it is less enjoyable. So why is it your insulin making your fat? A lot of people say fasting is the reason they lose weight. It produces more autophagy. They compared intermittent fasting and a caloric deficit. They produce the same amount of autophagy, the thing that people love intermittent fasting for. Why is that? It's because we are not meant to be fasting constantly. When you are fasted state, your cortisol is at an all-time high until you have that first meal. And people mistake that as, hey, I'm so locked in. I'm so focused. I have so much energy. Your body's in a fight or flight state. Women have lost their menstrual cycle. Their hormone regulation is horrible. They're extremely irritable. Men can go hypogonad, meaning their testosterone is at an all-time low until they have that first meal. That is not optimal. Our body doesn't enjoy it. And it's very disorderly. I've seen people say, oh, do the the fasting shocking diet. I forgot her name, Dr. Mindy. She said, hey, do the fast, not fast, fast. You shock the body. You do a 24-hour fast, you eat for 12 hours, then you do a 48-hour fast, then you eat for 8 hours, then you do a 72-hour. Boy, oh boy, you fast for almost 4 days, 5 days. Yeah, you're going to lose weight. You're not eating food for 5 days out of the 7 days. No crap, you're losing weight. You're in a caloric deficit. You're just starving yourself. You're losing more muscle. You're making your hormones completely out of whack. Just do a completely normal, continuous deficit. You can do intermittent fasting as a tool if you want. 100% if you want. If it helps you lose fat, all power to you. But you do not need fasting. It is not a necessary tool. It's actually less beneficial. They have shown caloric deficit versus a continuous diet. They kept more muscle in the continuous diet because you're getting the essential protein, because you're getting the essential fats and the micronutrients. Why starve yourself of the things that actually make your body move, work, all these things are like, oh, our ancestors would starve. No. Yeah, our ancestors starved because they didn't have food available. That's it. They weren't doing it for the health benefits. They would be eating constantly if they could. Doesn't make sense. And honestly, I forgot the last myth because I was so passionate about the starvation method because I hear that so freaking much. Oh, medications like SSRIs and steroids, not like the bodybuilder steroids, cause me to gain weight. This one's very nuanced, and I want to be actually very specific with how I say this. You can have water retention, which would make the scale go up. But I saw a video of a creator saying, hey, no matter what I eat, I could eat lettuce and I will gain fat because of my medications. My doctors told me that. That is false. They read the side effects and they said, hey, weight gain is a side effect. That is not the actual truth. You could have water retention, 100%. I'm not saying that's not possible. But it is increasing your ghrelin, making you feel more hungry, the hunger hormone. And you're feeling less full. So it's making you eat more food, making it harder to lose weight because you're not as full. So if you're not tracking your calories, you are not going to be able to tell if you're overeating because your hormones are not regular because you're on these SSRIs and these medications. Not to mention, usually when you're on these medications, you're more sedentary because you're not really happy in life. I've seen this. I've even had this case. I didn't take SSRIs, but I had people in my life that are very close to me that take SSRIs. They usually are complacent and sedentary throughout the day. They're not getting their step count. They're not doing as many activities. And when you're bored, you're more likely to eat on food. And people that are emotional eaters tend to be on SSRIs. So these are all combining in together to make it more weight gain. And it could lower your metabolic rate. There has been studies showing some SSRIs and steroids lower your metabolic rate, meaning you're burning less calories and you're more hungry. So yes, if you are not cautionary or paying attention to things, you will gain weight. But it is not a direct side effect. Doesn't mean, hey, if you have this, you will automatically gain weight. Because truly, we would have solved world hunger if this item or this medication stopped you from losing weight. Truly, we could give this to the masses and they would never, ever, ever lose any more weight. Just think about this in the extremes. It doesn't make sense to say this medication makes it physically impossible to lose weight. That is completely false. That is not a true statement. I know that hurts a lot of feelings because they've gained weight and they've had these personal testimonials. They'll say, oh, my skinny friend that never gained weight. They took SSRIs, they took these steroids, these medications, and they gained a bunch of weight. They saw it with their eyes, so it confirms their bias, and they saw the side effects like, oh, that makes complete sense. It's because your buddy just started eating food and the ghrelin increased. It's just as if I took MK, the peptide, that makes me more hungry. Or maybe it's a SARM. It increases your ghrelin. A lot of bodybuilders take this just to eat more food. It's a side effect. Yes, a side effect of MK could make it so you gain weight. It's because it increases the ghrelin. Think of the reasons. It's not a causation. It's a possibility. I think that a lot of people think if I take this, I have to have these side effects, and it really hurts me as a coach because people become victims to their situations, and you can always break that cycle. Truly. And I think as a coach, I'm trying to tell people this. It's impossible. You have the ability to get out of it. If you have PCOS, you're able to lose weight. Don't fall to your circumstances. It is completely possible to win this battle. Just don't fall victim to these circumstances. And I think that's why I say these things. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate about the medication because even my post, it got over like 3 million views. And I'd say over 50% of them are just people destroying me, saying I'm the worst person on earth. They're saying this is completely false because anecdotal evidence, this happened to me, this happened to my friend, but the research doesn't support that. I'm sorry. And I've seen it. I have clients that have taken these and they're still on these and they lose weight successfully. Yes, it is harder, but it is possible. Set realistic expectations, challenge yourself. Truly. Thanks for watching. If you want to sign up for my coaching, apply down below. If not, I'm going to try to do this content more. No edits, just raw talking to y'all. Let me know if you guys like this. Please let me know if you guys like this. Like the video or comment down below because this is my second time doing it. I don't know if it's going to be working that well, but I like it. Let's make it just raw and authentic.